Okay, we're getting ready to install the water pump. We've already done the usual RTV, gasket and RTV. Sometimes it's not necessary, but in every 350 I've ever built, I've always done this and never had any problem with it. So I always use blue for water, orange for oil, and black for pretty much everything else.
Hey, can we stick this water pump upside down?
Yeah, man. Reverse drive.
Reverse drive. That's hilarious. Yeah, man, reverse drive.
Instead of suction, that thing blows now. You gotta fill up your inlet up here now with water.
I can see someone putting this on backwards.
Okay, so what I like to do is I like to get the top bolt started first. That's just my personal preference. I like to put on my top bolts without hopefully not moving the gasket. What I'll do is I'll start the right side as well. Get it started in the bolt hole. Just watch the gasket, make sure it doesn't move. Get it in there a couple threads, that way you can let it sit on the bolts. And then what I'll do is, once I can't move the bolts no more, put my right hand underneath the water pump, and then I'll start again the top bolt. Sometimes the bolts will pop out, but at least see if we can get them started and let the water pump hang there.
Then shove it back. Doing
it my way, you're still able to see the gaskets, which is why I've done it this way. I've done it multiple different ways, and to me, this seems like the best way for me, because I can see the gaskets. Because sometimes you could put the bolt in and the water pump on, but your gasket is not in the hole, not in the aligning hole. You're only 30 foot-pounds. I'm going to start on the top two bolts.
30, huh? I've seen books say 20.
Oh, 30. What I will do is I'm going to actually, because the weight of the water pump's actually wanting to shove it down, so to get the correct sitting for the water pump to the block, I will actually start with the two top bolts. I won't get them tight, but I'll just get them snug enough to where the water pump isn't sitting wonky. That's the stopping point, so I'm just going to go a little bit past that, about a quarter. Alright, water pump is done. Don't forget, after you install the water pump, that you put the bushing back in on the water pump. A lot of people forget about that, but they stick the studs in and they stick the fan blade and fan clutch on, but they forget to stick the bushing on there.
No wonder why the water pump wears out a month later.
So don't forget to install the bushing. We will highlight that in the video.
At this point, we're going to put the bottom crank pulley on. It's 35 pounds of pressure on the outer bolts, and it's 60 for the center bolt. You want to put every bolt on loosely until you get them all installed, including the center dampener bolt.
Blue Loctite is not a bad idea here, folks.
Especially with higher horsepower vehicles. You need to put some white thread sealant on that bolt, yeah.
On this one?
Normally you don't have to put any white thread sealant on the crank bolt, but because somebody pulled the dampener incorrectly, didn't watch YouTube and see our 5-minute trick, they have destroyed part of the crank. And the unfortunate thing is, someday if this thing does break, I think the crank's going to break right at this spot in two pieces. It's going to be one piece of crank, and then basically from the timing gear forward is going to be another piece because they did that. We'll see. It hasn't broken yet, but we had a lot of oil come out when we removed the bolt, and that's unfortunate. What happens when you don't do things right the first time? Now you want to tighten your outer bolts first before you do your center bolt. make sure it seats in its natural native location.
What were those? Were those halves?
I think so. Everything's overbuilt in 3/4 ton stuff. That's why it lasts.
These only call for 30 foot-pounds.
35.
35.
Torque wrenches are cheap, people. There's no excuse not to have at least one. They're $20 at Harbor Freight.
I have to move your camera there, sir.
That's pretty good. Compression held that. Alright, that completes the bottom pulley installation. Now we'll go to the top. We're going to put on the bottom alternator bracket to the water pump, get that done. Again, that's another 35 foot-pound bolt. It's not very much. Doesn't seem like a lot, but that's not how it seals or holds. It uses 2 bolts to 1. That's 35 to 50 foot-pounds. And we're putting spring locks on that should have been here in the first place. That's the other thing.
I didn't put any washers in the water pump. I probably should have, but it doesn't look like there's a big enough area for washers.
You know, most of the time I don't see washers when I take them off. But it depends on how many times it's been done. You know, there's good techs and bad techs.
Well, there wasn't any washers there and it didn't leak, so...
No, there wasn't any washers when I pulled it off the 71 either. You can use a torque wrench here, but most of the time, just after it stops and about a quarter or half past stop, and that's pretty much all you need. Spring locks will hold back a lot of torque. Yeah. See, this main hold bolt's way lower than the 78's hold bolt.
Okay, because remember to put this belt on, I have to have it like that.
Yeah.
So I'm not putting this bolt in, and that's when I speed flash it.
Okay. We left the last bolt out, makes it easier to get the belt on, the pulley, so. Alright, other than that, we're going to speed through the top side of this and pretty much get ready to start this. So enjoy the time lapse, we'll be back with you in a bit. Okay, I've got everything back together. We're going to go ahead and do the first fire. We know the timing's going to be weird. Expect for it to do some weird things. We're going to be changing the intake because we know this one's warped, but we want to get it running before we go to the next phase. So pretty much we're going to run this unedited so you can see what it's like once you do major work, how it comes back to life.
Ready?
Go.
Here goes up.
Alright folks, as you can see, we got 350 running again. It actually started up pretty good with minimal adjustment. Got the timing finally happy again, and you can tell with it being cold and it's actually purring like a kitten and it's not even warmed up yet, so that makes me very happy. The Holly is kind of picky on the high idle side, but I've liked it so far. So far it's doing a job, it smells like it should, it's running like it should, and the next thing is we're going to put an intake that's not warped on. That's the next thing. But for now, this is going to be the ending for the timing chain video. We hope you enjoyed the series. If you like the content, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.